So what is the best camera for YouTube under $700 going into 2021? In this video, we're going to be breaking it down, and Omar and myself from the Think Media team, we're going to be talking about our top 10 camera picks for 2021 so far. It's the end of 2020 as we're recording this. We're looking at all the best cameras. We're going to talk about 12 features that we look for in a YouTube camera. So stick around for that. Omar's going to share his number one pick. I'm going to share my number one pick. And we're going to share some money saving strategies, some Cyber Monday deals, Black Friday deals, holiday deals. And there's time codes in the description down below so you can skip around in the video because it's packed with value and a lot of insight that will really help you if you're looking for a great camera deal. But if we're just meeting, my name is Sean Cannell. I'm the founder of Think Media, and I'm excited to jump right into this. Let me just give you the punchline right at the beginning, the top three under $700. And then we're going to dive into the granular details, answer some of your questions. And so here we go. Top three. Number three, the Canon SL3. Right now, it's on a limited time deal around $600, so it comes in $100 short of our price point for this video. Clean HDMI output for live streaming, dual pixel autofocus, flip screen to selfie, interchangeable lenses, viewfinder because it's a DSLR, microphone jack, really great camera. For a YouTube content creator, this would be a super solid buy. There's also, of course, we're linking up links in the description down below, and those are our affiliate links. And so if you click any of those, we may receive a small commission. So thank you for your support in that. And the Canon SL3 is also on a refurbished deal. This is one of our favorite deals for Canon products on Canon's website, because you get a 1-year warranty. So it's basically good as new. So $479 with the kit lens. Killer deal on the SL3. And again, details in the description if you want to check out some of these deals specifically. Number two is the Canon M50 Mark I. Yes, not actually the Mark II. We'll talk about that one later, but Mark I, right now there's a limited time deal for $550 for just the camera. One of our favorites, flip screen, mic input, great autofocus, really great camera. And you can grab one of these guys for $438.99. By the way, these refurbished deals go out of stock pretty quick. So they're in stock right now, but if you go look at the link in the description below, they actually might sell out because it's only as many refurbished models as they have. Again, good as new, but even if you want to get a new one, $550, $438.99 for the refurbished M50 with a kit lens. That's the Mark I version. We'll discuss Mark II versus Mark I. And then our top pick is the Sony ZV-1, right under our price point. We're talking about the best camera for YouTube under $700. And with this limited time deal, you got the flip screen. It's a fixed lens camera. It comes with the little dead cat for the microphone. A great camera. We'll talk more about it. Really, Sony almost created the perfect YouTube camera. You can't go wrong with either of these three. We'll talk about the weaknesses of this one in a second. And the white version of this guy is out now as well. In fact, all of these cameras come in both black or white. So you could shop around for different deals, but depending on the aesthetic you want to create when it comes to your content, that is something to check out. And so I want to pass the question off to you, and we're going to get into our top 12 features, a whole bunch of other details, but I wanted to just give you massive value up front. Smash like if you're finding this helpful so far. But what do you think is the best camera for YouTube? Hey, under 700. That's the limit for this video. So we got to keep it under $700. Yes, maybe you can shop around a little bit and find a nicer camera used or refurbished, but based on some of the holiday prices, based on some of the prices that are on the market right now, what do you think is the best camera under $700? Let me know. And we're going to be talking about the best camera YouTube checklist. So there's other great cameras, and it depends on your needs, depends on the features that you want. These are the 12 features that content creators need. The big disclaimer here is some people might be like, well, I'm like a filmmaker. I need, filmmaker specific things. You may be a filmmaker and a YouTuber, but not all YouTubers are filmmakers. So when we think about a YouTube content creator, it's like you and I, right? It's like somebody we want to vlog, or we want to shoot like our crafting from home or DIY because we got an Etsy shop. We're a real estate agent. We want to just do talking head videos, comedy videos. Maybe we want to do some cinematic stuff. So we're thinking about the features for YouTube content creators. We're going to talk about those in just a second, but shout out to today's sponsor. This very video is brought to you by StreamYard, and you can get $10 off using the link in our description to StreamYard. We're using it right now. And so StreamYard is how we're flip-flopping the screen up and down. Really easy to use. See the little Think brand? You see how that popped up there? See that? Yeah, a little white Think brand. That's StreamYard. Real easy to change branding, add lower thirds, bring on multiple people. Omar's joining me in just a second. This is where we do our interview shows, Coffee with Cannell, Think Marketing Live, if you haven't checked out our Think Marketing YouTube channel yet. And StreamYard is one of our favorite user-friendly, web-based softwares for live streaming. And hey, if you're a YouTube content creator, I suggest that you do content just like this, especially around the holidays, maybe related to your holiday gift guide in your niche or something like that. StreamYard is a great tool for doing a presentation just like this. Sean, how do you share your screen? I'm using StreamYard. I got a PowerPoint that I built out, old school. Some of you on Mac, you got the keynote, whatever it is, and I'm able to share my screen, do this, all this kind of stuff. Again, that's StreamYard. And so shout out to StreamYard for sponsoring this video. And if you want, it's free, by the way, and you can use it with the branding. It'll have their watermark. Or if you want a pro plan, like we're using, you could get $10 off using the link in the bio. And so we're going to get into the best camera YouTube checklist, but I want to welcome Omar Eltakrori to the Think stream this month. Omar, how's it going? How are you feeling about these cameras?
Man, super pumped. Anytime we could talk about cameras, I get pretty excited because I love them. But yeah, I'm excited to talk about some of the camera features you definitely want to be looking for, no matter what camera you buy. And so we've written out 12 things that you want to think about when coming up with this perfect camera for YouTube. And just so you know, contextually, that's usually what we're looking for. We're looking for the camera that's potentially beginner friendly. We're looking for the camera that would suit the person who is just wanting to film themselves. You know, maybe you've never touched a camera before and you're like, man, I'm just an entrepreneur. I'm trying to get my business out there and I just need something that'll get me going. That's who we have in mind a lot of the times. But a lot of it for the sake of, different ways of creating content, a lot of these things could cross over. But with that being said, let's just get in real quick to these 12 things when it comes to the best camera for YouTube checklist. The first thing is image quality and resolution. Just so you know, resolution is 4K, 1080. When you hear these things like 720, and 4K has become a lot more mainstream. It's become a lot more accepted by platforms and things like that. And then there's 1080. I would tell you right now that our phones can't really distribute 4K quality. So, whereas in Think Media, we put out 4K videos. And so when you do watch them on a laptop or a desktop, you can watch it in 4K, but no one with a smartphone, which is more people than who watch it on a desktop or a laptop actually are watching our videos, have to watch it in 1080. So that's just something to think about. Don't be, you don't need a 4K camera, but if that's something you would like, by all means, 4K cameras are awesome for the use of cropping in and out if you want to retain information. But another thing to highlight is image quality. Not all 1080s are the same. And something I have found in Sony cameras is that their 1080, the Sony cameras that have 4K in them, their 1080 isn't as crispy as a Canon's 1080. So if you compare the Sony A6400 and the Canon M50's 1080 versus the Sony's 1080, you will find a more crispier image with the Canon, something I found. Second is sensor size. Sensor size is something to consider because it determines how good the camera will work in low light situations. And then second, how much of that depth of field or blurry background you're going to get. That is sensor size. Apple just released the brand new, iPhone 12 Pro Max. And what did they upgrade in the wide angle lens? They upgraded the sensor size. So what does that mean? I'm going to get better low light and I'm going to get more blurry background with a bigger sensor. Just something to learn. So you want to take into consider what is the sensor size. A lot of the times in this budget range, around $700, you're looking at a crop censored camera, or you're looking at a smaller sensor camera than a crop, which would be like a 1-inch sensor camera like the ZV-1, which we'll talk about in just a second. Thirdly, another feature or checklist will be the interchangeable lens / the focal length. Now, let me just remind you of number one, it's resolution, 4K, 1080. What do you want? 4K resolution or 1080 resolution? Number three is interchangeable lenses. Let me tell you this. I always want people to have this ingrained in their mind. It is the lens that gives you the look of your video. So resolution does not mean blurry background. The camera that you're buying with the kit lens does not mean you're going to get the most crispiest looking image possible. It's the lens that actually attributes to the look you're going for. Do you want that super wide YouTuber look when you're like, really close to the camera and everything's wide? Or do you want that compressed look where the camera's a little bit further away and the background's really blurry? That's going to attribute themselves to the lens you're using. And so do you want interchangeable lenses when it comes to the camera you're choosing? Number 4, I think is a no-brainer. I think number 4 is a mic input. You can buy some awesome cameras out there in the market, and we'll talk about a few later in this video that don't have a mic jack input. But as far as editing goes, I mean, it's so nice to actually have your audio, what we would call, baked into your video. So if I'm using an external audio source like a boom mic or a lavalier mic, can I plug that into the camera? Does the camera have a mic jack input? Number 5, autofocus. Autofocus during video. Again, we mentioned that we're thinking about cameras that are easy to use, that you don't have to think about too much. And with how advanced cameras have gotten, they now have face detection. They have the ability to tap your face on the screen. I mean, come on, camera for dummies, that would be the best thing in the world. Can I just tap my face and I'll be in focus? Yes, you can do that. But is that something you need? Yes, potentially. And I would say if you're getting started, get a camera with autofocus. And specifically, and the reason why we bring this up, because it might be kind of like elementary, is like the Canon M50 in 4K doesn't have good autofocus, but in 1080, it has great autofocus. I mean, that's just maybe a software thing or what have you, but you want to ask yourself these questions. So if I want 4K, but I need good autofocus, then maybe the Canon M50 is not the camera. Just something to think about. Number 6 is photography. We're not necessarily a photography channel, but we believe thumbnails are a huge part in creating YouTube videos. Like, you want good thumbnails. You want thumbnails that are crispy and clear, and that you have the ability to potentially, manipulate whether you're using Canva or Photoshop to create these thumbnails. But do they take good pictures? A key thing that you want to take into consideration. Obviously, social media, we love batch producing photos. So like if I'm shooting thumbnails for a video we just shot, what I'm doing is I'm also going to take a moment to shoot images to post on Instagram. Those are vertical images, or post on stories. And so we want a camera that can kind of do it all. The term would be kind of hybrid. Does this camera do good photos and video? 7 is slow motion and or frame rates. So frame rates is something that may be new to you, but to make it simple, when you're doing real live talking head, or you're not changing the speed of your video, you're usually going to shoot in about 24 or 30 frames a second. That's just usually a rule of thumb. Now, if I do want to shoot something that I want to slow down in post, or slow down when I am editing, then I want to shoot in a higher frame rate. And so you want to ask yourself, does the camera I have the ability to shoot in higher frame rates, so that when I want to slow something down, I can? Want to ask yourself those questions. 60 frames per second is a good frame rate, just a rule of thumb, 1080, 60. But now cameras are being able to do 1080 in 120 frames, which would be 4 times slow motion. So, if you're pouring something, imagine 4 times slower than that. 60 would be about 50% slower than the speed you're capturing. And so do you need to capture things for slow motion? Something to think about. Number 8 is live streaming. I think this is huge, because I think this is where we get a lot of crossover with entrepreneurs who want to make that camera purchase. And they're not only shooting, content to be edited, but can I use the same camera to go live on YouTube? And I think that's a wise investment to make. Why not buy one camera that can essentially do everything you need it to do? And so some things to think about when you're choosing a camera that's good for live streaming is a clean HDMI. If you don't know what a clean HDMI is, if you ever look at a camera, from the back of the camera, or you see all the settings on the camera, like you see your audio levels, you see your frame rate, you see your ISO, that is that information on the screen either does or does not get translated through the HDMI. Hopefully I didn't lose you there. But like right now, you don't see any of my settings on the screen. Now, that's because my current camera has a clean HDMI feed. Second, if it doesn't have a clean, it would be the opposite. It's a dirty HDMI. And essentially it sends all that data through. So you have to like ninja or jimmy rig. And if you have a Canon, you might be, struggling with this a little bit, but you have to essentially manually, do certain things to the camera to be able to not see all those things. But that is clean HDMI. The second is in live streaming, Sony and Canon have both released webcam softwares. So if you have a Windows camera, a Windows PC, laptop or desktop, and they've kind of like entered into Apple a little bit, or if you have a Mac Sony webcam, that you can use your HDMI. You can use the HDMI thing that you use to charge the HDMI cord or the USB cord, plug that into your USB port to your computer or laptop, and use it as a webcam. Something to think about. And then lastly is 60 frames per second. Kind of talked about that a little bit ago about frame rates, but when you're gaming, you want to live stream in 60 frames because you want to not have any lag in your video. So something to think about. The ninth thing, let me just take a breath. Live streaming, man, holding your breath. Omar, breathe. Omar, breathe. Breathe. Omar, breathe. Omar, breathe. 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 Number 9 is unlimited record limit. Unlimited record limit. Sony has kind of jumped the gun when it comes to this in regards to including it in their more or less newer cameras, is the ability to not have to hit record again. And this is something that people who've been doing video for quite some time have kind of had to struggle with, is having to reset your record after about 30 minutes or so. And so if that's something that you're not gonna want, is having to do that because you're gonna be doing longer form content. Maybe you're recording a message, you're using it for church, or maybe even on a live stream standpoint, you wanna still go past 30 minutes. It's just something to think about. Number 10 is definitely something big, and that is ease of use and learning curve. I think more than anything, camera companies have done a good job at this, like really making it easy to use right out of the box. Like, do I have to think about all these, settings to change or what have you? The cameras we're recommending, or that Sean recommended earlier in this video, are 3 cameras that right out of the box, I could tell you right now that you could put in auto mode, hit record, and start filming your content. Obviously, you can go deeper and get even a better image by knowing your camera and how it works. But you're talking about great beginner-friendly cameras. If you're going to invest a few $1,000s into a camera, the chances are they're not going to make it the best straight out of the box. It'll become like a user error thing if you're not getting a good image with a $2,000 camera. So just something to think about. The next feature is image stabilization, or IBIS, which would stand for in-body image stabilization. I think, to not go too deep, is the camera stable if I hold it with my hand, or is it going to capture all the human shake that comes with holding the camera? I love cameras that have IBIS because I can do kind of slow movements, and then if I'm also shooting in a high frame rate, I'm moving kind of slow, but when I slow it down in junction with image stabilization, I'm getting a pretty smooth image, and it's handheld, and I'm not using a gimbal. But if you are going to be doing a lot of vlogging, if you're going to be doing anything like you're going to be capturing the B-roll or the footage of what it is you're talking about, and you don't necessarily have a gimbal, IBIS is a feature you want to know about. And then lastly, maybe the most important thing, if you are a solo creator, hey, if you're a solo creator, let me know down in the comments. Put solo creator here, solo creator. Shout out to you for holding it down for yourself. But is a flip screen or a selfie screen? Essentially, I would say cameras do this one of 2 ways. They either flip out to the side and they articulate, or they flip up on top of the camera. Obviously, either or. At the end of the day, you want to see yourself. But something to know is a lot of the times the cameras that flip up and at you at the top, you're gonna have to relocate where you put your mic if you have your mic on the camera. We got videos on that, and we'll post things down in the description below. But those are the 12 things that you want to think about when you are selecting your camera. You know, super important questions you want to ask yourself. Are these features? Do I need these features? And just to make sure that the camera you're purchasing has that feature. So, yeah.
Yeah, smash like for Omar crushing those 12 points, and post your questions because we're going to answer some of your questions, but we are going to break down our top 10 cameras, and we want to pass the question off to you as well. What features are you looking for in a camera? Do you need 4K or is 1080 good enough? Do you need to have interchangeable lenses? Is live streaming something you're going to be doing? Let us know. A couple rapid fire questions. We have questions coming in like, is the A6100 from Sony better than the M50? A couple of people asked, you know, is the AF better? Technically, I would say the A6100 is a better camera than the M50, but it breaks the rules of this video. Keep in mind that everything we're talking about in this video is all about under $700. And keep in mind that also, you may want to also invest in lighting and microphones and other things. So let me know, what's your camera budget? Are you thinking about upgrading your camera soon? And what's your budget? Because you don't want to spend it all on the camera. You may want to upgrade some other things. A lot of interest between those two cameras. You've got your driver mic. Good to see you, bro. Benefits of the A7C over the A6600. I think full frame is the key benefit there, as well as the fact the screen flips to the side, just as Omar described. If possible, to the side, in my opinion, is ideal, so you can still have that shotgun mic on the top. And Nolan has done some extensive coverage of the A7C. That's our favorite full frame camera for YouTube creators. But we're going to be doing some future videos in regards to other price points, but for this, we're under $700. And so we're going to be breaking down here our list of the best top 10 cameras under $700. And we're going to highlight the different features and strengths of these cameras to illustrate what Omar just broke down. So smash like if you've been getting value. And remember, there are a summary of all the show notes and links in the description down below. Our top 10 in reverse order is the DJI Pocket 2, specifically the Creator Combo. With the Creator Combo, it has kind of like a wireless Bluetooth mic that hooks right up to it. This is Omar mentioned stabilization. This basically is a gimbal. It's a 3-axis gimbal. And he also mentioned sensor size, not a very big sensor. Now, they made the sensor larger on this one. And so the reason this is at number 10, this is definitely a camera worth looking into if you want kind of a fun, easy to use, small camera that's going to help you with stabilization. The reason I wouldn't actually spend my $700 on this, if it was like the primary camera I was going to use, is you can't really do interchangeable lenses, or you can't. It's a fixed lens. The sensor is not huge. I'm not really going to live stream with it, so I would probably move on, but definitely a camera worth looking at, and maybe an additional camera for your kit if you wanted to do like walking real estate tour with the Creator kit and the Bluetooth mic hooked to your shirt. Something like that could be pretty powerful. I'm going to ask Omar's opinion as we get a little further, but I'm going to hit the top couple here. And the next one to consider is camcorders. Like, nobody's talking really about camcorders, but they really should be mentioned. And I think the reason why is once people started shooting with DSLRs and mirrorless cameras, is the picture quality is so superior because you had a larger sensor, more depth of field. You kind of had the ability to get almost like, whoa, is that like a cinematic camera at a very affordable price point? And typically a camcorder sensor is smaller, it's a fixed lens, and you don't really have the depth of field. However, one of the crippling features of most of the cameras, even in this list, is it has a record limit. You can only record about 30 minutes. And so if you want to record like a long teaching session, if you are doing church video production, you want to record a 45-minute sermon, or if you want ease of use to plug a camera in for live streaming, sometimes you got to buy a dummy battery. Most of the time, you have to buy a dummy battery for the M50 or something else. In this case, the camcorder just plugs into the wall. It's got a selfie screen. Like, it just flips to selfie. It's got usually at least a microphone jack. This one has a microphone jack, also a headphone jack. And this one does 120 frames and even 240 frames slow motion with some kind of interpolation. So this is a really powerful camera. You can screw on a wide angle lens on the front. it starts at 28.9. So to like vlog with this, it'd be a little too tight if you didn't screw on some kind of a wide angle lens. And you might say, well, why does nobody talk about these? Well, really because of, again, the image quality. You don't get the same look, although there's some cameras we'll cover on Think Media soon, because camcorders, they just drop one that has a 1-inch sensor. That's fascinating. And the other thing is that if you spend about $100 more than 700, you could grab the Panasonic version of this guy and get the 4K, but this would be full HD. And so there's a couple links in the description down below. The Canon VIXIA RF800 is in the description. It has a headphone jack and a mic jack. It's like $250. If you wanted to put it up for live streaming, use it for longer, recording, definitely a camera that kind of is underappreciated. And then really quick, in number 8 out of 10 is the Panasonic G85. Even cheaper is the Panasonic G7. Great cameras, especially if you're going to do video production work. If you're going to be behind the camera and you're going to be kind of racking focus or making sure things are in focus for uncropped 4K or barely cropped 4K, these cameras are very powerful. You can get a good image quality out of them, good photography out of them. The sensor's a little bit smaller because it's a micro, whatever you call it, 3/4. I'm on a GH5 right now streaming, so this is the kind of the similar sensor that you would see in a G85. This one on a holiday savings right now comes right in at under $700. But why do we hesitate to talk about these? They kind of don't make it for the user-friendly category because the contrast-based autofocus hunts, looks around. Panasonic dropped a new vlogging intended camera, but because they don't have that really great lock-on autofocus that typically right now Canon and Sony dominate, we wouldn't necessarily recommend it as a top YouTube camera. Many people love them, and we love them also. Just for our average recommendation, it's in the list. It's just not higher up in the list. And then another one that we wanted to hit was the Fuji X-T200. You can get the whole kit for $500. That's $300 off on holiday shopping right now. It's back ordered. And this guy, Chris, actually on the Think Media team, has a YouTube channel. We'll link it up in the description down below. You can check it out. He really recommends this camera. I mean, you're seeing it right now. He talks about it's one of the best budget vlogging cameras. On the flip side, you'll see that we have diverse opinions here at Think Media. Nolan kind of hates this camera. There's a 15-minute record limit in 4K. He's not pumped about the image quality. It does kind of overheat in 4K. 1080 is pretty good, but he doesn't love the 1080. He'd rather have an M50, but Chris would fight him to the death on that. So, Chris has this. You could see this camera. When you see this right here, when Omar talks about like IBIS, image stabilization, it doesn't have that. So this looks good, but it's kind of shaky because you either need to have lens stabilization or, by the way, neither does the M50. So you're going to get kind of maybe a similar look. And the autofocus locking on here is pretty impressive. So this had to make our list. Not a lot of people talking about Fuji, but this is definitely worth checking out. And I linked that up in the description down below if you want to kind of see Chris's video from Team Think Media, and check out the Fuji X-T200 as well. And then before we get into the top 5 and I get Omar's opinion here, I also want to mention GoPro. This is one of my favorite cameras. I actually have a GoPro HERO8. And I recently picked up a GoPro HERO9 because they included a selfie screen. You have the front-facing LCD screen on there. Now, what I love about this is the hyper smooth, again, image stabilization. It's not really in-body image stabilization. That's what IBIS stands for. It's just really good electronic EIS stabilization. And for $400, you do need to kind of mod it up. You could get the media mod, so you have a mic input. I believe you can live stream on these guys. And for what they are, when you're in like good sunlight, especially action sports or even just vlogging, man, it's really light. You get a little, kind of Joby or just GoPro's little handle. I really think GoPros are legitimate for YouTube. Now, when you step inside, the sensor's small and there's not a lot of light and you're in your garage, you're shooting a talking head video. Even though you can kind of crop in on these, they give you different zoom modes. You don't have interchangeable lenses. So I would not want this to be my primary YouTube camera. But if I was on the go doing a lot of travel stuff and maybe doing a lot of extreme sports stuff, I know some running channels, for example, that use this as their primary camera. They do it for talking head, but they're out running and they need the stabilization and they put it on, poles so they can kind of show their feet running and show the shoes they're using and stuff. So I want to ask you again, what is your needs? Are you doing travel content? Are you doing stuff on the go where some stabilization like the GoPro walking around town or vlogging a lot is needed? Or if you're mainly locking down, doing even a video like this or a live stream like this, I don't need image stabilization right now. I don't need IBIS right now because the camera's locked down on my desk. And so those are some things to consider. But Omar, what do you think about some of these kind of top picks before we get into some of our favorite cameras and some of the options we've covered?
Yeah, I mean, I would say definitely user case, type cameras. I think the reason why they're probably not the best selling cameras is like what you mentioned before. Other than the GoPro, I would say the other cameras aren't totally geared toward that beginner. It's not created for the person who's creating YouTube content, although you can use it, like you can use anything for YouTube. But I think that's why you probably don't hear too much of these cameras, more or less. And then as far as a camcorder goes, yeah, I think that there are some people that could totally suit their needs. Like you mentioned, church, long form content. You're not gonna run into the same problems you get with smaller mirrorless cameras, like bad, not too good battery life, just like the little things, the HDMI out, long record limits and things like that. And so, nonetheless, I think just being abreast on all these cameras. Why did I laugh at that? Hey, don't get your mind out the gutter, okay? No, I'm just kidding. But you definitely want to consider different kinds of cameras. But we totally lend ourselves toward the Canon Sony. And then, like he said, secondary is a great GoPro. When Sean took it on his trip with his wife, and came back with the footage of them like ripping it in Utah on some like those 4x4 joints. Dude, it was so cool. I was like, my goodness, the stabilization's amazing. The image quality is amazing. And you never have to think about essentially what you're shooting with a GoPro because it's kind of capturing what you think it is capturing. And so that's pretty cool.
Yeah, 100%. And so we're going through the top 10 cameras for YouTube under $700. Smash like if you've been getting value. Number 5 is the Canon G7X Mark II. Now, this is one of our favorite cameras. Our friends Benji and Judy Travis vlog with these. They've used them for years. They maybe shoot 5 videos a week for years at a time. So they're on camera 6 now or something because, they hammer it, drop it, hit it, smash it in the minivan door, etc. And so, there's no mic input on this, and it's a flip up screen, but I think that's okay because it's just a vlogging camera and the audio is not too bad. And one thing to note in a question that's been coming in is, people mentioned the Canon M50 doesn't have a clean HDMI out. I don't think this one probably does either, but Canon did release software that Omar was describing that basically solves that problem. So the cool thing is majority of Canon's new-ish cameras are great for live streaming with a USB cord. It actually is pretty simple to do, and we have a video that we'll link up in the description about how you can live stream for free with Canon software, which brings us into the final 4. Now it's getting really real, and number 4 is the Canon M50 Mark II. Right under $700, the exact same price as the Sony ZV-1. And this camera, Omar just covered a comparison. If you don't have a Canon M50 yet, this is a great camera, but really they didn't do a ton of major updates to it. They did give you the clean HDMI for HDMI output for live streaming, but you can use the Canon software on the Mark I and still live stream really well for it. You just get a little bit of higher quality and you have to get a capture card if you go with the Mark II. They put like a record button on the menu and not a lot of other things. And so I'm curious, Omar, just in a nutshell, the Canon M50 Mark II, I think the other one's so affordable now, the Mark I. What's kind of just your thought if somebody was on the fence right now between the Canon M50 Mark II and Mark I?
Yeah, I would definitely say don't fall into the hype of like, oh, I need the newest, latest, greatest. I think what's so cool, honestly, about buying something like kind of used, used like new, obviously you can save some money, but like it has stood the test of time. So, like you mentioned earlier, the G7X Mark II, the M50 Mark I think these are now, I would put them in like their own hall of fame of cameras because they've stood the test of time. They're reliable. They shoot incredible Video. They have great autofocus, and then so I would say if you do not have the Canon M50 and you've been like thinking about the Canon M50 and maybe you were going to spend around six something, you know, for it anyway, it is cool that they've only it just $50 more when we talk about MSRP for the M50 Mark II. You know, every time, you know, other brands or other kind of Canon cameras would release their new and improved upgrades, it's like a huge difference. And you're like, man, like, and then I think it actually is discouraging because a lot of people who just bought the camera are like, man, I could have just waited and I would have gotten so much with this. I think it's not a bad thing that that Canon, you know, the M50 Mark II isn't that much different from the Mark I, but definitely keeping in mind those live streamers and people who want to go HDMI out. But like mentioned before, you could totally use a USB, no matter what operating system you're using. And so that's kind of my thoughts. I'm not one to be so mad about it. Like a lot of people are, like the camera community is like up in a frenzy over how much they didn't do with the M50 Mark II. But I would say last year, just a personal experience, like I was taking on this excursion with Sony for the Sony A6400, and we're like, wow, a Sony camera with the flip up screen. Finally, they're giving us the creators what they want. No IBIS, small battery, but the flip up screen, and we're pumped. And then just 8 months later, it drops to 6600, which is just, you know, maybe $200-300 more at retail. But you're getting IBIS, you're getting a bigger battery, and all these things. And I'm like, I was like literally like bummed because I was like, man, what about the 6400? And so the M50 Mark II doesn't lend to that, and I think that's cool. So, dude, if 700, I think it's all about setting aside the budget you want to spend on your YouTube studio setup or that camera that you're trying to invest in. Have that money set aside and know that's what you're going to spend. Just maybe some financial wisdom from Omar, and then make that purchase. You know, don't overthink it, is what I would say.
Yeah. That's great advice. And so that was number 4. Now we're in the top 3, and here's kind of the thinking on the top 3. The Canon REBEL SL3 at number 3. And one of the reasons someone's already mentioning here in the live chat during this recording that this does have a clean HDMI output. Super affordable. It's $100 less than the Canon M50 Mark II. Again, that's why that was at number 4. And you can grab this guy. This is a B&H link, and it comes with a camera bag, an SD card. In fact, as far as some holiday shopping tips, you'll see some of the camera deals similar across websites, whether it's the manufacturer website, Amazon, or like B&H Photo. But on Amazon, I think this deal is just the camera and the lens. On B&H, you get Paint Shop Pro 2021. Not sure if you wanted that, but you get the SD card. It's nice to not have to buy that. You get a camera bag. So sometimes you can look for kind of some extra accessories that also still hit that same price point. So the Black Friday savings on this, $190 off. And the Canon SL3 interchangeable lenses, DSLR, really nice form factor, mic input. Again, we've really done our research under this price point, under $700. This is our number 3 pick, a great choice. Coming in also is that this guy's refurbished, and I saw a question come in that if I get the camera refurbished, will it be just as good as new? If you buy it from the Canon website, I believe that to be true. You can see on screen, it says 1-year limited manufacturer warranty. That's the same warranty you get if you buy it new. It comes packaged by Canon, tested by Canon, and it's going to be, in my opinion, good as new. Now, if you want new, then buy new. But if I'm spending my money, and we're going to give our top picks in just a second, Omar's going to give his final choice. I'll tell you my final choice and exactly how I would spend the $700. You can grab the SL3 with the kit lens. It's got image stabilization in the lens. STM means it's got a good motor. You can see that STM there for autofocusing, great autofocus. This one really checks a lot of boxes for a great YouTube camera. And at $479, that's a killer price point. Coming in at number 2 is the Canon M50 Mark I. Why do we list it higher? I think because of the bang for your buck. You got to budget your money. And if you see the creator kit is on sale this holiday season, $599, and you can get a Rode mic and an SD card. That's $150 off. Or you can get it for $549. That's $100 off. And I wouldn't be too worried about, Black Friday, Cyber Monday, and these prices changing much. It's pretty much the holiday savings that I've noticed goes until about mid-December. Of course, you can check the links in the description to see any current deals. And every once in a while, there'll be like a lightning deal on Amazon. But these are probably going to be kind of the range of price. And so, in my opinion, if I was I'd probably want to invest some more money in lenses. I would get the Canon M50 Mark I, use the Canon software for live streaming as far as the clean HDMI goes, and I would use the savings to invest in my YouTube studio. In my personal opinion, if I'm going to go with the M50, I would grab it refurbished while it's in stock from Canon's website for $38.99. We came in way under $700 to get that guy. We still have our number one camera. There's other cameras on the list that costed more, but you got to factor price into the conversation. For $38.99, are you kidding? For a Canon M50, for a flip screen, for an APS-C sensor, for a most incredible photography. Omar just took these pictures of his daughter Ruby for her second birthday party, and we were like, these look amazing. He had like his Omar Ninja skills on him, and you're like, dude, this camera is amazing for photography. It's great for 1080p video. People complain about the 4K. Just $438.99 on this deal. Like, it's a really great. We've created countless videos with this camera, as of many other YouTubers, and so that's a reason why this is our number one, our number two pick. But as we land the plane, the number one on the list, us bringing all things into consideration, none of these cameras are perfect and they all have weaknesses, is the Sony ZV-1, right under our price point of $700, uncropped 4K, mic input, flip screen. Really, the only weakness of this camera is that the lens isn't quite wide enough, in our opinion, for vlogging. But personally, none of us really vlog. We're not daily vloggers. We do mostly sit down, tutorial, B-roll, product reviews. And if you want to vlog, you could throw it on a selfie stick. And there's even a hack that I think we might be covering where you could even put kind of a wide angle lens on it. So it depends on your needs. And if you're a vlogger, you might want a GoPro HERO8 on sale during the holidays because it's pretty cheap. So if you were to get that for walking around to get that shot in the sunny daylight, and then this for your crispy B-roll, some great photography, the sensor, the image quality is far superior to a lot of the other cameras we've recommended. I think it's probably the best image quality on the list. And you can do unlimited record time, live streaming. Pretty incredible camera. That's why it makes our number one on the list. But the conversation doesn't end there. Omar and I are going to fight it out and really talk about which one is our top pick and why, and how do we spend the $700 if that was our budget. But I, again, want to hear from you, and we'll answer a couple questions in just a second. What do you need to create content? If you go, oh, it doesn't have, interchangeable lenses. Do you really need that? Or do you need that? Let me know what's like one of the main things you're looking for when it comes to cameras and the content you're going to create. But Omar, if you had $700 right now, you're starting from scratch, that's your budget. I mean, you can talk about how you'll spend a few extra dollars, but you're counting your dollars and you're going to invest in a camera right now going into 2021. What would be your pick?
Oh, conflicting. My answer would be the Sony ZV-1. And again, I go back to the contextualization that I am going to be shooting talking head YouTube videos with B-roll. I'm going to be shooting thumbnails, and I need a crispy image. I need a little bit of that blurry background to show that I'm pretty serious. I think but let me start by saying this. I'm using the ZV-1 right now. So if you know, this is what the ZV-1 could look like as your webcam. But if I pop this off of my desk tripod, I can then start using it to shoot YouTube videos. But this is what you're getting straight out. And what I love about the ZV-1 is at that price, like you're good to go when it comes to talking head YouTube videos. I think sometimes people get caught up in buying that camera that has interchangeable lenses, and then they're like, shoot, I really want some more depth, in my shot. And then so they then again go and invest in some more lenses, which I think is cool if you want to grow in that. But most people that I come into contact with, a lot of my client work that I do, and they just need something quick, hit record. It focuses on their face, gets the background blurry. There's literally a defocus button on the camera. You just press the button and it makes your background blurry. So if you want to get all that stuff out of the way and just get to shooting content and it looking good and not having to worry too much, the ZV-1 is awesome. Clean HDMI. Like Sean mentioned, we'll make a video on this. I didn't really quite install it, but you can attach this thing and then get a lot of more of a wider shot. It would be a lot better than this, but it essentially takes it from 24 millimeters to about 18 millimeters is what I'm reading up on when you get this Ulanzi thing. But again, $700. So not talking about all the accessories, but this is what I'm sensing. Then the M50 came out in 2018, February 2018, I believe. Nobody knew that it was going to be like the camera for YouTube creators, vloggers. And so what happened was companies started creating accessories around this camera. They started creating things that like made the camera even better. And from my research and things I'm finding on Amazon, that this is happening to the Sony ZV-1. A lot of the shortcomings with the Sony ZV-1 are being remedied with third-party companies to make this camera even better experience to be used. And so little things like, you know, moving the screw, because a lot of people, you can't put the battery, you can't take out the battery or change out your SD card while it's on a tripod, but there's a relocation mount for that. You know, the wide angle, and or this isn't wide enough for vlogging. You know, they made this thing. And so that's kind of why I love the ZV-1. No record limit. If I need to use it, my brother's a youth pastor, and he'll do like, you know, classes with his students and things like that. And I was like, you know what, man, get the ZV-1. Make sure you plug it into power while you're recording. You won't have to worry about battery. And you just hit record. It's going to focus on your eye. You're going to be good. And so you can zoom it in. You'll be at 2.8. You're going to be good. So I love the ZV-1 for that. That gets my pick. If somebody was like, man, what camera do I buy? The ZV-1, all around, just great YouTube camera. And so it would get my vote.
Yeah, that's a great breakdown. Michael says, I'm battling between the M50, M200, and ZV-1. Listen, our top two is the M50 and the ZV-1, so I think you're good either way there. M200 doesn't have a mic input, and that's one of our top 12 criteria. Good camera, good image, good for photography, but that's something to consider. Me Sound says maybe the M50 or SL3 is better than the ZV-1. Better is kind of subjective. It's going to depend on, you know, again, what you need. You can't change the lenses of the ZV-1. You have a fixed, you know, lens there. But at the same time, the image quality, if you put the three cameras you mentioned here together, the ZV-1 is definitely going to take the cake. And so Omar really broke that down. Here's my top pick to play a little bit contrarian. If right now I was going to invest in, I had $700 and I want to build my YouTube business, I'm going to go with the Canon SL3. And I'll tell you why. So this is the very live stream we're doing right now. And if you look at the description, you can see a summary of all the details. But when I go to Canon's Refurbish and I click this link and go to Canon's Refurbish website and I look at their DSLRs, you can see a lot of good deals. We got to spend under $700, right? And I'm counting every single dollar. So I'm going to invest in an SL3 kit right here for $479. So, you know, you're going to probably need to spend over $700 if you are going to also get some lighting and some microphones and whatnot. But this gives me some extra money to invest in other gear. Now, with this kit right here, you also potentially could go with this. Notice it's out of stock, but you can get just the body for $399 on the SL3. And one of the reasons I bring this up, now this is out of stock, but again, you can always shop these refurbished deals, is because Canon lenses, especially the EFS lenses as well, for the DSLR bodies are so available. Like there's more copies of these lenses than anything else on the market. So if you want, like Omar said, the lens gets you the look. If you want to be able to go wide angle, if you want to be able to have like crazy bokeh, like the depth of field, really blurry background, you can change all those different lenses on this camera. Keep in mind, the SL3 also does 4K. Yes, it's contrast-based autofocus and cropped in like crazy, but you could pull 4K out of it. And from my thinking when I'm investing my dollars, just as an alternative perspective, because I agree with them on the ZV-1 for sure, but now I'm going to probably also check out lenses and watch this. When you come over here, most of these are refurbished Canon lenses. And you can actually grab this like wide angle right here, this 10-18. This is one of the coveted vlogging lenses that will go right on an SL3, 10 millimeters. The weakness of the ZV-1 is basically that once you turn on the image stabilization and everything else, that sucker ends up being like a 28 millimeter, 30 millimeter equivalent, like 20 more millimeters than this 10 millimeter. So if you want a really wide shot, like keep in mind, just to give you an example, I'm just about to mess things up here. You want a big YouTuber shot, you know, you want a wide shot. You got more flexibility with interchangeable lenses. So I don't want to mess up your, you know, journey on finding the perfect camera. But if I've got $700 right now, I'm going to grab a refurbished SL3 off the website. I'm probably going to also grab this lens and maybe some other lens deals, because I could basically get that. If I could get that body and that lens, I'm still coming in at $70 less than 700. Maybe get the Deity mic that Omar recommends for 50 or a Boya for 20. You know, grab a softbox lighting kit. We've got some videos coming out. Softbox lighting kits are like 50, 60 bucks. You now have the ability to build out a whole YouTube studio with a Canon SL3 or something like an M50 for definitely under $1,000, maybe even under 800. Lights, microphone, tripod, the full deal. And then you could start creating content. And so I want to pass the question off to you, though. Of course, you know, there's so many different factors. And so what camera do you think is best? Really quick, Omar, is there any questions you want to hit that have come in? Alina's been helping us in the chat. Let's hit those really rapid fire.
Yeah, I mean, I think one question is definitely a lot of people who are asking or like talking about 4K, like 4K is overrated. And I think you're right. I think because phones aren't really there yet, you know, and I would even argue that your current editing, you know, setup, whether that be your laptop or your current desktop, might not even be able to handle 4K. And so, you know, thinking about which has a really good 1080 image, and all three of these cameras that we mentioned, the SL3, the M50, the ZV-1, great 1080 cameras as well. And I know filmmaker YouTubers who legit, they will shoot their vlogs in 4K and then have 1080 YouTube videos because they just know. But they're you know content creator, filmmaker guys, but they know that like it really is. Most people are watching it on the phone. So yeah, not overthinking that ability. And all cameras do have the ability to shoot 4K. Yesterday, me and Kyle shot a video on the M50 because we were like, man, this camera is great. The colors are so good. Like, don't have to color grade any of the footage, just light it pretty good. And we've upgraded kind of like our studio setup at his house. But we used the M50 in 2020. We used the M50, used 4K, locked in focus, did the talking head, and then shot the B-roll as well. So, I mean, all great cameras. Pick a camera that you know is gonna be reliable, which again is all the cameras we mentioned. These are gonna, you know, serve you really well. Another question that came in was about SL2. What about if you go even older? You're not getting too much of a image quality increase if you're going SL2 to SL3. Obviously, you can probably get it for a lot more and lowball somebody on OfferUp or Facebook Marketplace. But you're not going to go wrong with a Canon with a flip screen, with a mic jack input, and then when you're going to put it on a tripod, you're probably not going to do too much there. But the ability to change lenses is awesome, and you can always snag lens deals. And so that's kind of my 2 cents, is just bite the bullet, pull the trigger, start creating YouTube videos, and get your content out there, especially for 2021 and beyond.
Yeah, and we would love for you to post in the comments as well. What kind of topics would you like to cover us in the future on a series like this? What kind of price points? Hassan asked, is it worth upgrading to like a full frame camera from the A6600? Definitely, when you start getting into the A6600, now we're talking 1600, 17, 1800 before you even get lenses, right? And then full frame's even more expensive, and it makes the lenses more expensive. So we'll cover some of those questions in a future video. Charlie asked about the M200. Doesn't have the mic input. I think they missed the mic input as far as it really being a good YouTuber camera. Nothing against it otherwise, but I think that there's better ways to spend your money. And it's really the same sensor as the M50 and the SL3, so you might as well go with one of those two. Is the A7C worth the price, Sam? It is. And check out Nolan's series here on Think Media about the Sony A7C. If you got the money, you're going to start spending closer to 2K before, you know, 1800 before you even spend lenses, start investing in lenses. It's a whole different price point for a whole different video. But if you want full frame, you want the look, you want the IBIS, it is a great camera, and you can check our full review out on Think Media here. In fact, as we land the plane, let me encourage you that one of the cool things you can do if you've got a question about a particular camera is come over to the Think Media channel, and there's a little search bar, and you can go to the search bar and you can type in Sony A7C. And when you type in that search bar, I actually don't know why it's actually bringing up other people's videos. Technically, it usually searches on the channel, but here you go. You got 8 things I love about the camera and 1 thing I hate from Nolan. You got the best 4K camera for YouTube right there. And so typically this is searching the channel, but it looks like it's searching all of YouTube. There you go as well. You got Omar, if you want a deeper dive on the Canon M50 versus the M50 Mark II, a photography tutorial, tips and tricks, a lot of M50 stuff. And so definitely dive into the Think Media library if you have any questions about specific lighting, camera, stabilization, and anything we didn't cover today. Smash the like button if you got value out of this stream today. And what do you think is the best camera for YouTube under 700? Did we miss one? That's the price point limit, friends. Of course, we could spend more money. What the M50 Mark II was supposed to be was really the M6 Mark II. Great camera, but much more expensive. In fact, you're going to go $800 for just the body. So the question for you is, if you only had $700 to spend, how would you spend it? What do you think the best camera is this year? And, you know, next you have to really think about AVLS, audio, video, lighting, and stabilization. That is the key to really building out a YouTube studio. It's not just about the camera, it's about the lighting, it's about the audio. And so if you haven't seen this video yet, click or tap the screen to watch Omar breaking down a $500 setup, which, hey, by the way, maybe don't buy a camera. Maybe use your smartphone and invest in the audio and the lighting and the tripod and everything else. So click or tap the screen to watch that video right now. And thanks again for being a part of the video today. Peace.